The striker, 23, will feature at the World Cup this summer before returning to Newcastle, his parent club. Fulham want to sign him permanently, but there are other interested clubs, too. Commenting on his recent form, Mitrovic said at the weekend, "It's been the best 3 or 4 months in my professional life. I have played the best football. This team has an unbelievable soul and connection between us. I really enjoyed my time here and we'll see what happens. Now I want to enjoy this today and tomorrow, start preparing for the World Cup." Serbia will face Costa Rica, Switzerland, and Brazil at this summer's tournament. Double deal. Wolves are set to follow up the £10 million signing of Willy Boly with a £12.5 million deal for Benicaphobe. The club are thought to be ready to trigger the activation fee that was placed in the contract when he signed from Bournemouth. Bobby rejoined his old club on loan in January and contributed 6 goals in 16 games to the title-winning campaign. Now the 25-year-old is to be signed on a permanent deal for the Premier League campaign. Wolves are set to complete the permanent signing of Willy Boly after activating their right to buy the French centre-back. Boly was instrumental in Wolves' promotion to the Premier League last season with a series of excellent displays on the left of Nuno Espirito Santo's back three. The 27-year-old made 37 appearances across all competitions last term and became a firm favourite amongst the Malinomeses. A deal to bring Boly to the Black Country permanently has now been activated, according to Porto's Director of Communications Francisco Marques. An insight into the career of Willy Boly. Montpellier were 20 minutes late, writes Adam White of Get French Football News. Needing only a draw to secure an astonishing League One title in 2012, players of title rivals PSG stood huddled around a television screen in Lorient after a 2-1 win, watching the final quarter of the pivotal encounter in Auxerre play out. Although every game in the final round is scheduled simultaneously, Auxerre Ultras, infuriated by the financial issues that had already seen their club relegated, had staged a protest that saw scores of tennis balls, raw tomatoes, toilet paper and melons thrown onto the pitch at the Stade de l'Abbé Deschamps. "You are the shame of these last 32 years," read one banner, a sentiment largely directed at club president Gérard Bourgoin but also at their players, including 21-year-old centre-back Willy Boly. Having broken into the first team the previous year, Boly assumed a prominent role in a disastrous season for Auxerre, but the young defender's individual displays remained admirable, regularly standing out despite poor results. Despite his obvious physical stature, a burgeoning keenness to hit sweeping passes and start attacks, as has been the case with Wolves, was already evident. Boly later explained, "I really like to play this way, where the central ones have to go out to play, where the team likes to have ball. For me, it is not more difficult to play this way. I like and want to have a ball." Born in Melun, an hour south of central Paris, Boly's football education was one of the best French football can provide, training as a teenager at the famous Clairefontaine National Football Institute. Nicolas Anelka, Thierry Henry, Kylian Mbappé, William Gallas and Blaise Matuidi, to name a few, are all counted among Clairefontaine's more illustrious alumni. At the age of 16, Boly was spotted by Auxerre, where he was swiftly promoted to the senior side before signing his first professional deal in 2011. "I'm blossoming well at this club," said Boly at the time, but his ambitions were clear, "But I aim for another level. It's a personal project. Because the most important thing is to play in a big club and play big competitions like the Champions League, impressing at youth levels, and throughout his brief League One spell, Boly represented France across the junior ranks and was, as then-coach Eric Mombert said, only kept out of a competitive under-21 side by Raphael Varane and Eliakim Mangala. Eye-catching performances in League One and boundless potential led to wide-ranging interest from across the continent as Auxerre dropped into League Two, but the young Boly's experience descended into attitude issues and poor form. Despite being a prize asset, then-manager Bernard Cassoni stating he might have to leave to fill the hole in the club's finances that contributed to their relegation, Boly fell out of favor in January 2013 as negotiations with Parma eventually fell through. Boly then informed Cassoni later that year he was not in the right frame of mind to play against Valenciennes, after another failed round of talks with Parma. Rumors of numerous possible routes out repeatedly evaporated over Boly's 2 seasons in the second division, notably when a €5 million agreement with Fiorentina came to nothing, as Burgoyne demanded a higher fee. Meanwhile, disciplinary issues resurfaced, as then Auxerre coach Jean-Luc Vanucci decided to exclude him until further notice, after he arrived late for training and did not follow his coach's instructions before his supposed refusal to play for the reserve side missed out on the first-team squad towards the end of 2013-14 campaign. Nevertheless, in recent seasons, Boly has matured somewhat while Cedric Hangbart, a teammate at Auxerre, insisted in L'Équipe that Boly was able to handle the transfer speculation in training, explaining, "He never let it show, he remained very professional." However, there is certainly another unusual side to Willy Boly. In a strange turn of events for a promising footballer at youth level, holds backs, roughly the equivalent of top-grade A levels, in maths and sciences, while he impressed coaches in Liga NOS by swiftly grasping Portuguese upon joining Braga in 2014 and speaking quasi-fluently with his colleagues, an intelligence perhaps reflected in his style of play. When Boly eventually moved to Portugal in 2014, he did so for no direct monetary exchange. Despite Auxerre's initial demands, they received no transfer fee for Boly, merely a sell-on percentage clause. However, Boly struggled to assert himself in Portugal. For much of the 2014-15 season, the Frenchman found himself as a Braga B team regular, playing in Portugal's lower divisions. Fortunately, his attitude towards turning out for a reserve side had evolved since his Auxerre days. "It was a difficult situation for me and I was not going to be happy for the B team," explained Boly. "Inside I forgot everything. It was important for me to play well when I was called to B team to show what I can do for the coach and the A team." That attitude proved essential, as Boly, impressing incoming manager Paulo Fonseca after centre-back Aderlan Santos departed, played his way into the Braga senior side. Within a year, Boly had joined Porto, a protracted move due to Boly's high wage demands, having rejected Wolves before eventually joining them a year later following a failure to establish himself at the Dragão. Given Boly's impressive debut season in England, showcasing his ability to bring the ball out from the back, sometimes a little too much, holding onto the lonely Frenchman will likely be near the top of Nuno Espirito Santo's summer to-do list. Although Nuno might have to spend an 8-figure sum to secure a permanent move, given Boly's ingrained keenness to constantly improve and play at the highest possible level, he would undoubtedly relish a jump to Premier League football. What's more, making that step with a club clearly on an upward trajectory, where he is already established, stability will also be a crucial element in terms of furthering his own development. Whether he stays or not, dodging tennis balls and rotten tomatoes should remain a distant memory. This is a piece from our French football partners, Get French Football News. You can follow Adam and Get French Football News on Twitter. Nuno's thoughts. Nuno Espirito Santo has told Wolves to enjoy the ride as they prepare for the Premier League. When asked about the top-flight challenge ahead, he said, "Of course I am excited, we have something really good here." Bonatini latest Celtic want Leo Bonatini, who spent last season on loan at Wolves. The striker scored 12 goals and set up 6 more during his time at Molyneux but struggled in the second half of the season. Bonatini is still contracted to Al Hilal and Wolves have not announced whether they plan to keep him for another term. Cancelo. Wolves have registered an interest in right-back João Cancelo, a defender who is also a target for Manchester City. The Valencia defender spent the season on loan at Inter Milan but the Serie A side haven't taken up the €35 million option that was initially agreed. It's understood that the figure could be renegotiated, but other teams are ready to pounce. Manchester City are said to be weighing up a move and reports in Spain suggest a €45 million bid could be lodged. Wolves boss Nuno Espirito Santo knows all about the Portuguese defender, a client of his agent Jorge Mendes, and is keen to strengthen this summer after winning promotion to the Premier League. The huge transfer fee could be a sticking point though. Cancelo, 24, will also have his eye on a mega money move to one of the European giants, with Manchester United and Juventus also interested. Mendes. Latest Jorge Mendes has held talks with Wolves and AC Milan over potentially bringing Andre Silva to Molyneux in a blockbuster deal, according to reports in Italy. Wolves hold an interest in the 22-year-old striker as they look to add to their squad ahead of the upcoming Premier League campaign after their championship title triumph. Silva only joined Milan from Porto last summer but he's set to leave during the window as the club look to ease their financial fair play concerns. Now, Calcio Mercato report that Mendes, the super agent with close links to Wolves, has held discussions with Milan transfer chiefs concerning Silva, who is a client of his Justified agency. Mendes has discussed the possibility of Silva heading to Wolves or Monaco, the report states. Milan are determined not to let the player leave on the cheap despite the threat of financial sanctions looming over them. But Mendes is on good terms with their CEO, Marco Fazzone, and their sporting director, Massimiliano Mirabelli. Is thought that a fee of around £27 million would be enough to land Silva, who cost Milan £34 million and scored 10 goals in 40 games in all competitions across the season. However, it is likely that his future will only be resolved after the World Cup, with Silva having been selected in Portugal's squad for the tournament in Russia. Mendes acts as an advisor to Wolves owners Fosun, and a number of his clients have already wound up in the Black Country. Jack Butland speaks on his future as Wolves linked with Brazilian midfielder Jack Coy. Goalkeeper Jack Butland is sure to be a man in demand this summer, but he's not thinking about his future until he returns from the World Cup. The Stoke stopper is likely to be competing with Everton's Jordan Pickford for the Lions' #1 jersey in Russia. Once that campaign ends, though, the 25-year-old will have a decision to make. After the Potters' relegation to the Championship, speculation has predictably begun surrounding future speculation linking him with an immediate return to the top flight. Wolverhampton Wanderers, as well as Liverpool and Watford, have been mentioned previously as a potentially interested party. Though John Ruddy made the division's official team of the year last term, it's thought Nuno Espirito Santo could look to add extra competition between the Molyneux sticks. Rui Patricio, Jose Sa and Bernd Leno have all been linked, too. Butland, though, was coy on what the summer transfer window holds, insisting that his sole focus at this moment is the tournament in front of him. "I'm contracted to Stoke," Butland told The Telegraph. I'm really looking forward to this summer and the World Cup is the main part of that. What will be will be. I don't have anything in the pipeline and there's no focus on that at the minute. The most important thing for me is being part of a successful England squad and being as big a part of it as I can. That's my only goal right now. Wolves interested in signing midfielder who almost moved to West Brom last summer. Reports any potential move by Butland would also be in the interest of Wolves' Midlands rivals Birmingham City. Blues parted with their academy product for just £3.5 million in the January window of 2013, and Stoke have been the beneficiaries of some impressive performances since. Blues, though, now under the guidance of Gary Monk, are believed to have had a sell-on clause in Butland's deal worth around 25% of whatever profit is made. A price tag as much as £30 million for Butland has been touted previously. Further reading: Wolverhampton Wanderers have been linked with the move for Joseph de Sousa, the man who so very nearly moved to the West Midlands last summer. Wolves are putting together preparations for their returning campaign to the Premier League and attributed interest in a countless number of players has already been publicised around Europe. The latest name is that of de Sousa, who almost made the move to rivals West Bromwich Albion last summer. Reports from Turkey, via Sport Witness, are suggesting de Sousa was the subject of an offer of just under £11 million by the Baggies in the summer transfer window last year, only for the club to pull out of the deal when they discovered they could snap up Paris Saint-Germain midfielder Grzegorz Krychowiak instead. Upon learning the news that his Premier League dream had been denied, de Sousa is said to have cried in front of club president Aziz Yildirim when informed that Albion had ended negotiations. De Sousa, 29, scored 3 times in 33 appearances for Turkish outfit Fenerbahce last season, a club he's made over 100 appearances for since arriving from Porto in the summer of 2015. Wolves, who have still to make a decision over the purchase of loanee Alfred Ndiaye, are looking for extra cover in midfield with only Romain Saiz and Ruben Neves as the club's 2 senior, permanent players in that department.